2. And hey everyone, welcome to the Beamy Life. So today is our weekly hashtag Ask the Beamy Life live stream Q&A. We actually kind of missed it this weekend since we had a podcast and then we just didn't do it afterwards. So anyway, it's Monday, so it's not too far away from the weekend. And yeah, I'm just going to answer or start off by answering some questions that I got through email. And if you guys have any questions, you can email us at Mary at the BME Life. That is MERI at the BME Life. Or you can also email Adrian if you'd like. He also has an email, so you can also reach out to him, and that's Adrian at the BME Life. If you have any questions, if you just want to talk to us, and I don't know, you just rather do it through your computer. I know texting through Instagram or commenting on YouTube can sometimes be a little exhausting. So if you guys have anything that you'd like to share with us or any questions you may have, you can reach out to us through our email. But with that being said, we did get some questions from a high school student recently. It's actually a few days ago, and I just haven't had time to answer through email. So I just thought that I would do a live Q&A, um, answer the questions, and then just open it up for anyone who might be joining. If you guys have any questions, make sure to let us know and we'll try to answer them. And just a little disclaimer, don't know the answer to every single question. I'm not an expert, but I just try to help however I can. So with that being said, um the first question that I got from this high school student is, please describe your engineering field. So my engineering field is biomedical engineering. Specifically, I am in the medical device industry. So yes. Um, Next question is, what is your current job title? My current job title is product development engineer slash intern. Whatever, whichever works fine. Um, Three, please describe your particular job and duties. Okay, so this is kind of like a longer answer because I personally, at the moment, work at a medical device startup. And by startup, I literally mean a startup. Like, it's the CEO, the CTO, and myself. And there are other people actually. There's one, it's kind of also in the executive board or leadership. He's more of a marketing or investor relations person. We do have board members and a clinical advisory board, but when it comes to employees, it's really just me, and we do have some consultants for other stuff, like reviewers or software engineers or regulatory consultants and things like that. So yeah, anyway, my particular duty or duties at this job, um, I always say that they really evolve with the company because it is a startup company. Not only is it a startup, it's a startup launching its first product. So it definitely makes it very different from a startup that already has products, like in plural, in the market. Because I know there's definitely startups that do that. They already have a product, at least one, in the market, and they can still be called a startup. But in our case, it's really like an early stage startup. I mean, we're not super early. We do have all our verification phase done. We're currently um, getting ready for FDA clearance. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. But like I said, my duties really evolve with the company. So in the beginning, it was a lot of manufacturing, design, writing protocols, writing test procedures, looking at documents. But then it evolved into verification testing, a lot of testing, writing protocols, testing, writing reports, testing. Yeah, so I like to tell people that I'm actually a test engineer because I think that's mostly what I do, but I do other stuff. So I think that's why it's really called product development engineer, because in a startup you really have to be very flexible, and there's not five different departments with 20 people each that focus on specific parts of the project. It's really just us trying to do everything. So yeah, we don't have very specific strict titles, and I honestly enjoy that a lot about working there, because I get to learn about different aspects. I don't like everything that I do, but it is good to just what's it called? I forgot the word. Experience. It's good to experience different areas of the medical device industry.
We have a pretty good question.
Uh-huh.
Um, is working at a startup a good move after graduating?
Well, I mean, I don't know how to answer this, but I'll start off by answering. Oh, I'm not sure. Oh, you displayed the question. Okay. Um, so one of my professors during my undergrad career actually told us that one thing that we should do is work for a startup right after graduating, and then work for them for a few years for several reasons, and I'll go over them right now. But then go to a bigger company and then go back to a startup. And that was kind of like the path that he said was a good path to follow. I didn't really understand why, because you always think that as a professional, you really want to go straight into working for this huge company. You know, we always dream of working for the bigger companies, you know, those big names like Apple, Google, NASA, like, you know, and then when you go to the medical device industry, it's J&J, Medtronic, Stryker, right? Like you're always thinking like, oh, I want to work for these huge companies. So it was really interesting for me, to me, that this professor told us, no, go to a startup first, then go to a bigger one, and then go back to a smaller one. And his reasoning was that one, startups pay you better because there's higher risk. And in the beginning, I thought this was true because when he said that, I was actually interning at a startup, and some of my friends were also interning at other companies. And one of them specifically was a big company, is a big company, like a multi billionaire company. So they actually paid me more as an intern than they did to her, which was interesting because it just proved what my professor was saying, that at startups they pay you more. So I was like, well, it must be true then, right? But then I started actually doing my research online, and I found that a lot of people say that startups actually pay you less, which makes sense because they have less funds, and they usually try to balance it out with equity. Um, so I just thought that was interesting, and I really, at that moment, I realized that it really just depends on the companies. You know, you can't generalize everything. So yeah, at this moment, I'm not entirely sure, but when I'm a professional or when I get my full time offer, I'll definitely let you guys know which one pays more, because I know the starting salary for a big company here in San Antonio. So whenever I get my starting salary, I'll for sure let you guys know if it's true that they pay more at startups as a professional. But so far, they do pay me more as an intern, and they actually did give me equity of equity in the company. So yeah, I mean, it does work well. But apart from the money, why would you want to work for a startup? It's definitely not for everyone, but one of his reasonings, and something that I've been able to see and witness, is that because it is a startup and they don't have one employee for R&D, another employee for um, what's the other ones, manufacturing, another employee for quality. They just have one employee for everything. So, or not, it's not always one employee, but they just have less employees for everything. And that they expect will cover all those aspects of the medical device industry. So, one good thing about that is that you really um, get to experience different areas and see what you like and what you don't. And not only that, but you get to add a lot of different colors to your resume. So I think that's good. It can definitely, it's really up to you. Like, do I wish sometimes that I was just more experienced in a specific field rather than knowing a little bit of everything? Maybe so. Um, but yeah, I mean, we'll see. But yeah, his reasoning was go to a startup to get paid more as a young professional, to get more experience, and three, and then go to the bigger company so you can understand and learn how departments work at bigger companies, and then go back to a startup to hold a leadership position. So that was kind of his advice. And as of right now, I wouldn't really advise either or, to be honest. Like, I think just do whatever you can get. Obviously, you're not going to get super picky as to which one you should do, because it's really up to the job offers that you get. And if I had a job offer right now from a huge company, would I take it? Maybe, like, I don't know. Like, I'd have to weigh the different options. But yeah, there's not really a right or wrong answer, but I did want to put that little map to success that my professor talked to us about. So yeah, I hope that helps. Um okay, so Mitzi Jones said, I'm final year BME student. Are you guys hiring? If you're asking about the startup where I work, no, I don't think they're hiring. I mean, I'm actually only working there part time, but maybe in the future they will. Because we are waiting for a round of investments. So I don't know. Maybe in the future we will. Um, but I think they've definitely mentioned that they only want to hire interns. So yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, next question from the email is what is your average work schedule? I got this question recently. I think I forgot where. I think also from a high school student. And they asked how many hours a week do I work? And well, I personally only work part-time, so it's usually between 25 and 35 hours per week. But no, honestly, more like 25 and 30. Um, but when I was working full time, it was just like, your typical 9 to 5. And actually, I would go to work from 8 to 5, Monday through Thursday, so that I could go 8 through 12 on Fridays. So they were very flexible and really did respect our 40-hour week. But I've actually been noticing recently in this group that I joined, that I've seen a lot of positions being offered, and the work schedule says like I've seen up to like 60 hours per week. So I think it definitely depends on the company and the kind of work. Um, I do think that most companies will just do 40 hours, but yeah, I mean, I have seen some companies require for specific positions like up to 60 hours per week. So, yeah, I mean, just be aware of that and do ask your potential employers about that. Hello, Max. Thank you for joining. It's great to have you. Let us know if you have any questions. We're just answering uh, questions from a high school student. And thank you all 8 people here joining. Thank you for watching. I know this was kind of a very random Q&A. We didn't even announce it anywhere. But yeah, thanks for joining. Um, okay. Next question is starting starting with high school. Please describe your educational background chronologically. Okay. So I started high school in the US, and then I graduated high school. I didn't really do anything crazy in high school, like regarding STEM, because I went to a very small school. It was actually less than 80 people in total. Like my senior graduating class was 24 people. So it was a very small school, and we didn't do anything STEM related. And I honestly didn't even know what I wanted to do when I graduated. So then I went to UTRGV, which is in the Valley. Um, and I started as an undecided major because I really had no idea what to do. So I took all the core courses like English, government, history, art, things like that. Uh, then after a year or so, well, first I thought I wanted to be a math major, so that's why I actually took pre-calculus and calculus 1 in at UTRGV. And then eventually I decided that I wanted to go into engineering. That's a whole different story, but yeah, I decided to go into engineering and then to go into biomedical engineering. So then I started uh, college in fall of 2015, and I transferred to UTSA in starting fall of 2017. So I was at UTRGV for 4 semesters, and then I started here at UTSA biomedical engineering. And yeah, then I mean I was here for 3 years, and I graduated. Um, I want to say that my first summer here, I was only here 2 summers before graduating. My first summer, I did research at a tissue engineering lab at my school for a year. And then the next spring, so that was summer 2018, and then spring 2019, I started my internship with the startup company. And then I graduated spring 2020, and I currently still work at that same startup company. I haven't stopped working there ever since I started. So I was very blessed to be able to work there while I was in school and also during the summers. So yeah, that's where I'm at, and I like it a lot. And yeah, I'm just waiting to be hired on full time, which is still in the talks, but it's definitely happening sooner rather than later. So I'm excited about that. Yeah. So Max asked, how much money can BMEs expect? That is a great question, and it definitely depends not only on the country, obviously, but also in the state and city, and even within the same city. It really depends on the company. Um, but we're actually working on putting a salary video together. We've sent a survey around to professionals that have a biomedical engineering degree. Some have bachelor's, some have masters, some have PhDs, and they're across the USA. So yeah, we're very excited to hopefully have that soon. We're just trying to get as many people as we can so we can give a better insight of the kind of salary that you should expect, depending not only on company, location, years of experience, but also on what kind of position they even have, because not every biomedical engineer eventually get a title called biomedical engineer. Actually, most of them don't. Most of the time you'll be R&D engineer, quality engineer, project manager. There's a lot of different things you can do with BME. We also have one response that is like they put like their stipend for their doctorate degree. So that's also good to know, how much they're getting paid to do their PhDs. So anyway, yeah, we'll try to put that together. If not, we're also trying maybe gonna do a video on the salary statistics according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So yeah.
We got Mitzi tuning in from the Bahamas.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Mitzi, for your question. And I hope it helped. And then hello, Wilbur Bonilla. Thank you for joining. Okay. Next question is, if you had to do it all over again, related to your career or education, would you do anything differently? Um, yeah, I think I would definitely try to make up my mind earlier in college. I mean, there's nothing I could have done because I didn't know about biomedical engineering. So it's not like I could have chosen it earlier. But I'm so glad I waited for it, rather than doing another major that I wasn't going to like as much. Looking back, I can't think of a more perfect major. But yeah, I think I would have loved to maybe try to do another internship, just get into a research lab sooner and try to get another internship um like with another company either before or after the one I got, just so that I could have experience in different companies. I think it would have been good, not only that, but just, added more to my resume. Um, I also kind of wish that I would have attended or joined other organizations other than the ones that I kind of knew about. I don't want to talk bad about any organizations, but I'm going to talk about the ones that I wish I would have joined, because now as a professional, I see that a lot of the bigger companies actually attend their conferences for recruiting people. So these are like, I think it's pronounced like, well, I don't even know how it's pronounced, but it's the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. That is one society, and obviously it's mostly for Hispanics. You don't have to be Hispanic, but that's the purpose of the society. Also, like the National Society of Black Engineers. Um, which one else? I guess SUI is good, kind of. Um, but yeah, I guess for me as a Hispanic, the Hispanic Society Hispanic of Professional Engineers would have been the best one, because I see that um, like the big companies always go like not only to their conferences but also like talk at their meetings and stuff like that. So whatever race you are, I would encourage you to go to your race's engineer society, because there's one for every race. And big companies actually like recruiting at those conferences rather than at BMES, for example.
Ruby said, "Woo,
Who?
SHP."
Oh, yes. SHP. Yes, Ruby. I'm guessing you're there, so that's awesome. I would stay there because I've definitely seen that they're very involved with actually getting the big companies to hire their members. I actually, yeah, I had signed up for a conference with NSBE. Um, Even though I'm obviously Hispanic, but I just registered and they let me in. But it was about the same time that COVID started, so it ended up being a virtual meeting. But yeah, no, I would definitely recommend going to these conferences if you're Hispanic. Definitely the SHPE. If
That's a good question.
if you're any other race, I would really like. I've seen the Asian ones like also like do big conferences and recruit or have the big companies recruiting. So it's awesome. Um okay. So the which question?
Mike, right?
Okay. I think it's Mike. Uh he said, "Hi, bioengineering covers a lot of topics ranging from tissue engineering to AI. From the professional perspective, what is the hottest topic now? in terms of career prospect. I always get this question, and not always, but I do get it a lot. What is the best branch of BME? What branch should I focus in? Because there's so many. And it's a really hard question to answer because I don't really think there's like a right answer. But I'm going to start off by saying that I think, and I might be wrong or just biased because I am in the medical device industry, but I want to say that the biggest industry you can go to is medical devices, rather than research per se. Because, I mean, there is space in research, but all those like science fields like tissue engineering, biomaterials, neuroscience, I feel like they're more heavy on the research side. In medical devices, it's just kind of very general. You're more like an engineer rather than a scientist, which BMEs tend to be kind of both. So in the medical device industry, you're definitely more of an engineer. Um, and I think it's just more common because there's more companies that do medical devices or pharmaceuticals. Pharma is also a big industry, in any country. So I think pharma is also good. But when it comes to science topics like tissue engineering, AI, I really think it really honestly just depends on your interest. And honestly, when you go to school, you have to choose an area of focus. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter unless you're doing a PhD or a master thesis or something like that. But your area of focus really doesn't matter. Mine was cell and tissue engineering, and I do nothing related to that right now. And I promise you that's probably true for most people. Um so yeah, it it really doesn't matter. It's up to your interests. Um but I would give it value or put value into choosing a branch only if you're thinking of research, um or actually just working in that, like AI. That's pretty specific. So if you are really interested in AI, then I would, just do my research in that area so that you're just very knowledgeable in it. And then when you start interviewing for these companies, then you just sound very knowledgeable. But yeah, I guess at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter that much. But that's just my opinion. But I hope that helps.
You got 14 peeps tuning in. Tell
Hey,
ask
thanks everyone for joining. We have a peak number of watchers now. So make sure to ask your questions. Right now, I'm kind of just answering questions that I got in an email. But if you guys have any other questions, I love to answer them as best as I can. So Alexa said, "Among Us?" Question mark. I know we've been promising that we're gonna play Among Us ever since like forever, but we just haven't um like done anything with it. I really have to first create an Excel sheet and see, because I know there's like 5 people that have reached out to us and said I want to play Among Us. So I want to make sure that I give them priority and that I put them on the list. Alex is one of them. So if anyone else watching wants to play Among Us, for sure, make sure to let me know either here or better if it's on Instagram, just so we can put you on the VIP list and we can play as soon as we have a date. But yes, we do want to play Among Us and possibly stream it, but we're still not sure. Okay. Uh, Gabrielle Nagila said, "What do you think about majoring in mechanical engineering with a BME minor concentration versus actually majoring in biomedical engineering?" Um, it's really up to you. There's really advantages and disadvantages to both. And this is definitely a good question, but I want to say that if you really want to learn more about the engineering, like the heavy engineering, I would definitely do mechanical engineering because in BME you don't really get you get a little bit of everything in BME. You know, like I mentioned before, you're kind of a scientist, kind of a technician, and you're really learning basic applications. So instead of taking like your basic statics and dynamics, I took a class called biomechanics that really apply the same principles but to the human body and solving medical problems. So I really enjoy that. Most of my engineering classes really had that focus on medical applications, which just made it very interesting to me. Um, but it's really up to you. I do think that mechanical engineers have a little more advantage in that engineering side because you do go more in depth in the engineering because you don't have to take all these biology or science classes. So it's really up to you. Also, as a mechanical engineer, you're open to other industries that are non biomedical. If that's something that maybe you just like to have the option to. But I personally loved biomedical engineering, and if I could go back, I wouldn't change it just because that's my interest and it worked perfectly for me. Like, I love working interdisciplinarily and just being able to think like an engineer, think like a scientist, communicate with surgeons and healthcare professionals and all those things. So I would personally not change it. Also, BME opens to you the possibility of doing research if that's something that you're interested in, which you can also do in mechanical engineering, but probably not in a wet lab environment. But I'm just not too sure. But yeah, I hope that helps with deciding. Um, yeah, I mean, it's up to you really and what your interests are. Okay. Wilbur said, "How do you think COVID will shift the BME field?" Um, to be honest, I mean, I'm not sure. Like a lot of people ask this question. Well, not a lot, but some people have asked this question, and a lot of people I feel assume that COVID is actually kind of helping BMEs, which is it really isn't. Like only companies that work directly on COVID related matters are actually benefited, like, I don't know, ventilators, masks, etc. Maybe research in virus and things like that. Um, but every other industry, orthopedics, cardiology, is affected. Companies stopped hiring, people didn't get their internships, job offers. So it has affected the medical field. Also, healthcare professionals, like, they it does affect everyone, really, except those directly connected to COVID. But I do hope, and I think this is outside of COVID, honestly, that with time, BMEs can only get more and more. Um, what's the word I'm looking for?
In demand,
Not in demand, but like reconocimiento.
recognized.
Yeah, yeah. I think with time, BMEs will definitely get recognized for our work in our field, which right now it's very new. So I feel like a lot of people don't give us the credit that we deserve. Um, but I think with time, it is true that BMEs will just be more in demand, the field will grow, and will be better recognized and respected. That's my hope, at least. But yeah, I think with COVID, maybe it will help bump that just because it raises awareness on the medical field, and that it is very important to have research groups and institutions and create medical equipment, because, yeah, at the end of the day, there's someone's life is at the end of that, like path. So yeah, I think it's very important, and hopefully, yeah, like things like this will raise awareness about the need of medical research and development in medical technologies. But yeah, I think outside of COVID, even like BME can only grow because medicine is always growing. Like it's not gonna go away; it's only gonna grow. So yeah, I think BMEs can only grow. I think. Okay, let's see. So Ruby said, so I know BME has a variety of jobs you can choose from. I'm interested in clinical engineering, but I'm not sure what kind of internships or research I should look for. Any advice? Um, that's actually a really, really good question because I've heard of clinical engineering as a job positions, but never really seen internships in it. So that's a really good question to raise. And honestly, I think as a clinical engineer, it would be very valuable to maybe show doctors, um, or work as a biomedical technician. That's probably something you could do because the hospitals usually have techs that are biomed, but they're just like associate degrees. So as an engineering student, you could probably also have a an opportunity to work there if you wanted to. But yeah, at the top of my head, I don't really know like if anything else. Honestly, I think any experience would help. Um, like with any medical device company, I think even just like I don't know, I definitely do my research around that. It's a really good question. Sorry, I can't really answer it directly, but that is a really good question. And yeah, but clinical engineering is very interesting. I know, I think there's a YouTuber that does clinical engineering. I forgot her name, but she has one of the most watched like biomedical engineering day in the life videos. So you should look for it. If not, I'll link it somewhere. But yeah, I think that might be a good path. But well, as for internships, but as for jobs, I think it's also really good to try to get a certification on a certain kind of medical device specialist because there's all kinds of specialties like cardiology, neurology, whatever. Like there's some certificates you can get to be specialized as a clinical engineer for a certain medical area. So I will look into that. Um, okay, I'm gonna jump into the next question from the email, which is what advice would you give to someone interested in pursuing a career path similar to yours? Again, thank you so much for your help. Um, Advice. Well, I think that some advice that I would give to myself, um, I mean, this kind of goes along with the question earlier that what would I do differently? Um, well, first, I would just be aware that BME is a very broad field in that it's not as recognized. So, one thing that I like people to be aware of, and I actually shared it on my story recently, is that a lot of people don't believe in BME. A lot of people out there, not a lot, but some people out there think BME is not a good major. Um, and that can be discouraging when you hear it for the first time. So that's why I want to put it out there before someone else says it and discourages you, because I say it and then I want to say that it's not true. Um, it kind of goes along with what I just said right now about mechanical engineering with BME concentration. rather than biomedical engineering. It really depends on your interest, and like that's what people don't understand. You can get jobs as a biomedical engineer, you can be successful as a biomedical engineer, and every single person that we've interviewed here who is a biomedical engineer, and we asked them, are you happy with your career? Is it everything that you expected? They always answer yes. And honestly, the people who complain about being BMEs and not finding a job are people who didn't really try that much in college. So yeah, I think the first advice would just be aware of that, and also be aware that it is a competitive field, and the fact that you're a biomedical engineer puts you in a very like um specific industry. So I would also be aware that that means a lot of competition. And to be a strong candidate around all these competitors, you really need a lot of experience. And not only experience, like experience is great, but the most important thing is networking, because networking will lead you to your next job. So yeah, honestly, like um recently, because of the salary deal, I've been reaching out to a lot of people on LinkedIn and Instagram. And yeah, don't think that networking is only luncheons and things like that. Like, we can use social media to network. And that's definitely something that we're trying to do here. You know, right now, most of us are, or most of our viewers are students, either in college or high school. But in the future, we're all going to be professionals, and this is going to be our network. So yeah, guys, just, stay connected. We love to be in touch with all of you. I mean, I don't know, maybe one day I'll ask for your referral at your company, like you never know. So yeah, just be aware of that, I guess. Um, okay. Jam said, please do the biomedical engineers manufacture the bionic limbs, or is it the mechanical engineers? This is actually a great question, because I feel like prosthetics and bionics is probably the first area that you think of when you think biomedical engineers. But to be completely honest, most people don't end up going into prosthetics like as BMEs. I don't know anyone in my class who did, even though it is like the number one thing you think of when you think of BME. Um, but I mean, apart from that, I always really thought that people who did or worked on prosthetics were just BMEs working for medical device companies that did prosthetics. But I actually found out recently that there's actually a master's in prosthetics, which is crazy because I had no idea about it. Um, so yeah, I honestly have to do more research on that, because it is a question that we get a lot, and we do have to do a video on that. But as your question is biomedical engineers best versus mechanical, I think it's either or. It's definitely either or. Like, yeah, like both BMEs and MEs can do prosthetics, but I think you might actually need extra education to really work on them. But I'll do more research on that, because I'm not too knowledgeable in that area. But we definitely have to do a video on that, because it is one of our most asked questions. So thank you for bringing it up. Um, okay. Santiago asked, what are your plans for the rest of the year? I don't know. Honestly, just keep growing the Beamy Life. We're almost at 4,000 watch time hours, which, if you guys don't know, that's actually the milestone that we need to reach to become YouTube partners, which means that we will be able to put ads on our videos, which means that we'll be able to get some revenue from our videos, which is awesome, because we do want to keep doing this. And honestly, guys, I feel kind of bad because I go to work, and like I'm always thinking about the Be Me life. So I think it'd be really cool if we could make this channel something that's profitable, and just give put more information out and just dedicate more time into it. So yeah, our plan so far really just growing the BME life. When it comes to specific videos, we do want to put salary videos, maybe one on biotechnology because that's something that we get asked a lot. Also, the prosthetics. We do want to remake some of our videos as well. We are trying to do more podcasts with more professionals. And lastly, we are thinking of possibly holding a BME conference sometime this year. But we're still not sure. It's kind of in the talks. But we do have this idea of putting together a conference with different kinds of topics, whether it's like, well, it would be different categories like research areas, um, I don't know, how to get a job, networking, also maybe host like a pitch event for like medical device startups or student competitions and things like that. I forgot what else we had said that we could have. But really, just like a conference for biomedical engineers, I think it'd be really cool. There's BME already, but obviously one would be completely free and way better. Like, just kidding. No, it's just the BME. So really, like when I went, it's mostly like research and schools trying to recruit you for grad school, which is great. But I was really looking forward to hearing from companies. Oh yeah, we'd also love to maybe reach out to some companies or schools and just have them talk about what they do. But yeah, like I said, that's still in the talks, but let us know if you would be interested in having and attending a BME Live conference later this year.
Live on YouTube.
Oh yeah, it would be live on YouTube and obviously it would stay recorded so anyone could watch it anytime. Um, okay, Ruby said thank you. Thank you, Ruby. You are awesome as well. Okay, Jam Jam said thanks for answering. Thank you for your question. Um, okay, well, I think those are all the questions for now. And I'm not sure how long we've been live, but originally we meant for this to only be like 10 minutes. But thank you for joining. I know this was very impromptu, however you pronounce that. Uh, Very out of nowhere, but I'm happy that you guys were able to join and ask your questions, and I'm always happy to help in any way I can. I know I'm not super knowledgeable in everything, and I really wish that I was. Like, you guys have no idea. I feel so bad saying I don't know when I answer a question, but I think it's understandable. You know, I'm also learning as I go. And who knows, in the future, I might look back at my answers and be like, oh my gosh, like that's not true. And like, but it's really up to your personal thoughts, I think, and experiences. You know, we all have different experiences. So, yeah. Anyway, with that being said, I think this is it for this Q&A. If you have any more questions, you can always reach out to us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, or just comment on this video or any other video. And if you guys are bored and don't know what to do, just leave of watch time. So if you like to contribute to a good cause, volume and like let it loop. And we're really happy. Anyway, Wilbur said thank you for your advice, guys. Anytime we're only gonna grow. After the last 28 days, we grew 291 subscribers, which is close to 300 subs per month. For joining, and I guess we're gonna head out now. and we will see you next time. Bye.